I'm Richard Saxton with CarBiz, our look at the automotive industry, and my guest is Rick Wagoner. He is the President and Chief Operating Officer of General Motors at age 45. Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes? I'm 45, I'm President of General Motors?
Well, it's Richard, it's a great opportunity that I've got here. A couple things happened during my career, a few changes with the company, and here we are. So it's, as I say, it's a great opportunity, but kind of focused on what we can do to get the company back to the top ranking position that we really want to be in every key area of the business.
Rick, give us a few secrets. How did you get there at age 45?
Well, I guess luck probably counts for most of it, but I've had a chance in my career with GM to work in various places around the world, be exposed to a lot of different aspects of the business, work for a lot of smart people. And I guess I got a big break in '92 when we did a major reorganization, and I was moved from running Brazil to being CFO of the company. I've had a couple moves since then, and just a few months ago got this job.
Let's talk a little bit about the reorganization. You're consolidating global operations. Many say you're doing what Ford did a few years ago. How do you describe it?
Yeah, I'd say really in this day and age with the auto business moving to be global, everybody's adapting, and somewhat from your history. GM, we've been fairly regionalized and run ourselves almost as independent empires. We've been gradually bringing that together. And this move for us, really, we thought it was the right time to take one layer out of the organization and put the international and domestic operations together and begin to try to drive more and more common processes and leverage our global capabilities. We think it's going to help us go faster, and that's really why we moved. But the last few years, we've been getting operations turned around in North America, had some major growth initiatives in Asia Pacific and South America. We needed to get those in order before we drew back together.
Are you looking to buy more companies? I know you have a big stake in Saab, Opel. I mean, what is the future in terms of acquisitions? We know that Daimler bought Chrysler. Where's General Motors headed?
I'd say right now our primary focus is in the Asia Pacific region. We just announced a little while ago that we increased our stake in Suzuki. We have a big ownership position in Isuzu, 35-36%. That's the part of the world where we're really weakest right now from a representation, market share perspective. So that's a primary area of focus. Beyond that, I'd have to say we're not really looking at anybody very closely right now in the western part of the world.
When you look at the divisions, 6 of them, if you include Saturn, which is a kind of a separate company, it used to be they were always having sister cars to each other, kind of stepping on each other in terms of selling. You've tried to separate that. What is the strategy now for the divisions?
Well, basically we're trying to, as you said, separate and more clearly differentiate the brands. Historically, we had quite a different positioning for them, primarily based on price. Today it's a little more sophisticated than that, but we've really tried to carve out a brand positioning statement, Cadillac being the traditional American luxury art and science, Buick more of a traditionally sized American vehicle, appealing to a more mature buyer, and so on. And we think we've been able to carve out pretty good positionings for each of our brands, and now we've got to execute products and have our brand and advertising positioning support that differentiation. We think we can do it.
Are you trying to push one automobile like the Malibu or a car that you want to compete with the Taurus and the Accord as the hottest selling single nameplate?
Well, not really. Our strategy is probably to divide the market a little more finely than our competitors and take advantage of the fact that we do have a lot of good brands and products. We want to leverage those. So probably unlikely that we have single products that sell as much in the car side, although on the truck side, our full-size pickup frankly has a chance this year to run and take the leadership position. And we're betting a lot on that, actually.
Let's talk a little bit about the stock. I know when times were tough in the early 90s, the dividend was slashed and it was tough sledding. Now with car sales doing very well, and you can tell me how well, what are the prospects for the shareholder and the dividend?
Well, I'd say at this point the car market has run well. It's certainly been stronger than expected in the last year. And from what we see today, the outlook for 99 looks pretty good. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed. Our financial position in the company has been significantly restored since we talked a number of years ago, and we've been able to increase the dividend a couple of times. At this point, we've been focusing use of our excess cash much more on shareholder buybacks. We're in the midst of a major program there, and I think probably that's going to be the primary area of focus as we restore our financial position following the difficult strike last year in Flint. But I think what we'll do is build cash back up and then probably be focusing more on the stock buyback program.
Talk a little bit about the strikes. I mean, it hurt the company financially, and one would think that every 3 years you negotiate a contract and it'd be over and done until 3 years later, but that's not the case.
Well, that's what we'd like to see happen, and we're really working very hard now to try to do everything we can to avoid these strikes. They tend to be local flare-ups, but because of our vertical integration at certain plants, they can really close down our whole production system, and that's what happened the past year. We're, as I say, working pretty hard with the leadership of the UAW to make sure we address any issues early on. And we'd sure like to get through 99 without a strike. Obviously, it's early to tell. We do have some challenges to continue to improve our competitive position. But we think there's a reasonable basis to keep going on the track, improving competitiveness, and really try to avoid strikes, because you're right, they really do disrupt us in the marketplace, hurt the bottom line, hurt the momentum that we're building with new products. So we'd really like to avoid them if at all possible.
The dealers I spoke with had enough inventory, and the strike didn't really disrupt sales. How did you see it?
Well, we ran pretty good the first month of the strike, which, as you recall, was July, but we really got hurt in August and then September, because inventories did trail down after the strike, and it took us several months to build them back up. We picked back up in September and ran strong since, but it did hurt us badly in penetration for a couple of months, August and September.
All right, so you're optimistic. I mean, the business is going well. What's selling when you look across the General Motors line?
Well, I think we're getting good reception to basically all of our new midsize products, whether it's Malibu or Regal, Grand Prix. These products are all selling very well. The Olds Intrigue had good performance in the truck business. The small trucks sold well as the big trucks, which we're just introducing the new full-size Chevy Silverado, GMC Sierras here in the last few months, and those are going to be big sellers. Utilities continue to sell well, whether it's the medium size or the large ones. So I'd say in general the market's been strong, a little weak at the low end of the market, but other than that, pretty strong.
Concept cars are usually a big focus of the auto shows, and in Detroit, 5 new concept cars. What's really the focus there? I mean, is that the car of the future?
Well, what we're trying to do is, I think, show what we can do. Every manufacturer does. The designers like to get out and talk about what they can do, try to anticipate future trends. But we use the customer input. I mean, some of the products customers look at and say it's a little out on the edge. Others they like, and we begin to look at that for potential future production cars. So it's a good market test for us, if you will.
Very competitive. I mean, the Germans and the Japanese and the Americans, I mean, the quality, I mean, the cars are a lot better than what they used to be, but maybe after 60,000 miles, are the GM cars or the American cars maybe not holding up as well as the others? What kind of criticism or fire are you under?
I'd say the biggest issue we're finding is just what you said, that what used to be a pretty broad quality gap is really tightened up. And how do you get customers' attention today in a world where quality and reliability are increasingly the standard that everyone's following? And you got to find the new market niches, and you're going to see at GM we're working a little harder, and over the next couple of years a lot of new products which really try to get into some niches where maybe we and others are not right now.
Rick, let me ask you about the future hierarchy. Jack Smith is the chairman. You're the president and chief operating officer. How does the evolution go if it's a perfect world from here out?
Well, we should also mention Harry Pierce, our vice chairman, who has been out for some treatment with cancer, but just coming back in now, and looks like he's in very good shape. So we're glad to have Harry back, and we've got a strong management team around us. These changes just took place here recently, and at this point I'm pretty much focused on doing my job and running the automotive business and working with Jack and Harry and other leaders like our chief financial officer to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the company. Beyond that, tough to guess.
All right. Looking at the global environment, it used to be as General Motors went, so went the world, so to speak. The global turmoil, recessions in a variety of markets, low interest rates in the U.S. How does all that economic news impact GM?
Well, it affects us in a number of ways. I mean, we're a big player in South America. 98's been a very difficult year in South America. And we hope it comes back in 99. It's an important market for us, and we've got our fingers crossed there. Asia Pacific region is an area that's been really hit hard all of 98. We hope to see that things begin to come back in 99, but that area is also where we've got some major new investments, somewhat questionable. Europe looks like it's hanging on pretty well, and the U.S. economy has really responded pretty well under an otherwise difficult world environment. In fact, the U.S. seems to be holding things together, so we got to keep our fingers crossed here.
Let's talk about selling the automobile. The margins that you have, you've gone in a lot of cases to a one-price structure with few options. It used to be so complicated because the options that you could get on a vehicle, you didn't know what price you're paying for what. What are you doing to streamline the buying process?
Well, I think particularly in California, where we've had some focus around our so-called consumer marketing initiative, we've really worked with a lot of our products to try to simplify, like you say, the equipment levels and the pricing structure. And we think it's worked pretty well. In fact, if you look at the market, you have some buyers who like the historical haggling, select your own vehicle approach. More and more buyers seem to like a more hassle-free kind of environment. Saturn's really pioneered that for us around the country, and it's attracted a lot of customers, and I think you'll see more and more of that over time. But still, customer preferences are different, and we have to respond to all of them.
Innovations in the business, obviously selling on the internet where people can get to know the price the dealer pays, the invoice. Wayne Huizenga, who's coming in with his way of selling cars. What do you think?
I think the retail world is changing a lot. I think we're going to have a role for our traditional dealers for a long, long time. But there are going to be different ways to buy vehicles over the next 5 or 10 years. Obviously, what's going on with Republic is one example of a different retailing concept. I think you're going to see more and more of that, applications of internet, things of that sort. It's growing, and as younger kids get to be car buyers, we're going to see more and more of it. We got to be ready of it, try to be out in front of it. The GM Buy Power, which we started in California, we've taken nationally now, and it's helped us work more on the internet.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the corporate structure. GM Hughes, most of that spun off. EDS spun off. Delphi, I guess, is going to be spun off. What can you say about what GM's trying to do? You're trying to focus on the core business?
Yeah, I would say really most of the assets of the remaining in the company, assuming we complete the planned transaction with Delphi in 1999. Basically, the assets remain our global auto assets. GMAC is a big entity. We've got a couple of smaller businesses, locomotive business, and then, of course, our ownership of Hughes, which is really a satellite communications company. And we like that for one reason, it's a good growth business. The other reason, we're using a lot of that technology in vehicles today. So we look at that as the core of the company going forward.
All right. What are you expecting for earnings in fiscal 99?
Well, we're going to fight hard to keep them going up. It's early at this point to say, but we're not getting anything in pricing around the world, so we have to work the cost side of the business. Had good success in 97 and 98 there. Have to keep going in 99.
Terrific. Congratulations again on being president of General Motors and continued success.
Thank you very much. Enjoy being with you.
Rick Wagoner is the President and Chief Operating Officer at General Motors, my guest on CarBiz on 22 Business News.